podcast, episode number 42, which is, Richie...
The answer to the meaning of life, the universe, and everything.
And everything. So you've arrived at episode 42 of our podcast, where I, Chris, one of your hosts, is joined by my lovely co-hosts in the cubes. Different cubes every week, it would seem. If you glance over to Tom, he's now changed location again.
I just feel like I'm constantly on the road at the moment. I haven't really settled. I'm a bit of a nomad right now, aren't I, Chris? A bit of a nomad. Haven't really settled anywhere yet.
Travel around.
Yeah, we'll get some stability soon enough, but I am coming at you live from a different location once again. But it'll all be changed next week, and then hopefully from there back to a standard.
Yeah,
just wants to keep
continues.
Just wants to keep us on our toes. If you can guess where Tom will be next week, send us in your questions in the comments below. And also below him...
Answers on a postcard.
Answers on a postcard. What are postcards anymore? And below him, we've got, of course, the man of many pixels, Richie, giving us the answer to what is the number 42. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to another busy week. Now, we joked there, Tom, about you being in a TARDIS. Well, not a TARDIS, but like an ever-changing background. But this week we've got some time travel magic for you all. So with the Ubisoft Forward taking place, our time, it's in about an hour or so. Your time watching this back, it happened yesterday or Sunday just gone. So this episode is going to have some editing magic at some point throughout it. So just put a pin in that one for now. We'll get to it later on. But... crazy week, gentlemen. Anyone who's new to the show, this is the Sounds of Stadia podcast, where we bring you a weekly roundup of all the Stadia and gaming news. And it's going to be a very busy week, a hectic week, which obviously kicks off in about an hour of time after recording with Ubisoft Forward. Then we've got the Stadia Connect on this coming Tuesday. Non-stop action and news. But let's get into it, Tom. We'll... yeah,
Ooh.
Exactly.
Ooh.
With the...
Shall we?
Yeah, just go
We're
straight
going
into
in.
it. We're pressed for time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka
the news.
Yeah, we're
lots
really
of
going
stories. We have to. With it being all time travel, we don't really know how it's going to impact us. Anything we say now, could have an impact on the later part of the episode. So
it's like the butterfly effect. Anything we say now is going to affect the Ubisoft Forward.
It really could.
You'll see by the time you watch this episode.
It really could. So I'm drinking a can of Vimto, but in the Ubisoft Forward part, will it be a can of Vimto or will it change to something like, I don't know, American Orange Fanta? We won't know.
But, whole story behind that.
There's a long story behind that. If our US fans, if you have Orange Fanta, the real, true Orange Fanta, send it across to us, addressing the link below. It's not really, but please, if you do know a reliable source in the UK, reach out, let us know. So yes, gentlemen, newsworthy week. We've got some little stories. There are a few stories we're going to skip out on because of the nature of the order of things, once again, like Far Cry 6, for example. Who had that down as their prediction for the Forward event? Who knows? Find out if Tom got a point later in this episode.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Well, we actually don't know yet.
No.
So it may be, it may not be. Anyway, we did get some Stadia news, and quite understandably, it was game-centric this week. There's not really been much about features or APK file breakdowns or communication issues. The world is full of games, and thankfully we've got a few little tidbits that are coming out to Stadia, which we're able to break down and talk to you lovely people all about today. So right at the top of the list, we've seen some Serious Sam 4 new gameplay trailers actually dropped. It was only earlier on today, right?
Yeah,
that was dropped
not very long ago, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously we know it's coming. We know it's coming out to Stadia. Tom, you were probably the biggest fan of Serious Sam out of the three of us. I had a chance to. I did play a little bit of the trilogy that we got free as a pro game back in April, May. They all just blare into one now. That the days and months, don't they? I know we definitely got it free at some point because I did play and I had a little bit of fun.
April's a good shout.
Something like that. Does this create any new excitement for you for the new one? Does it look like they've added any mechanics in that you thought were probably missing from the originals?
I mean, being a fan of Serious Sam is... I mean, it's a stretch compared to some other franchises, I must admit. But the one thing I really take from this gameplay trailer is they're really trying to push out the number of things, just things in general, that are happening on screen at any one time. So... It's clear that they're trying to push it to the next generation, and they're trying to find out how can they sort of energize the franchise compared to every other shooter of the same genre out there. And it looks like what they're going for is they're sticking with that sort of serious, over-the-top nature of Serious Sam, but they're using over the top to an extreme where they're basically saying, like, we're going to be over the top with the amount of shit you've got to deal with on screen at any one time. It looks good. I will give it that. Again, I'm still sort of waiting to see how it can be innovative compared to other titles out there. So we'll watch this space at the moment, but it's nice to see development. It's nice to see these things moving along. So yeah, definitely something to watch out for sure.
Richie, you got anything to add to that? Did you get a chance to check out the trilogy?
I watched it. No, I didn't play. I didn't play the trilogy. I have in the past played briefly on PC because I have them in my Steam library. I don't know when that happened, but I have them.
Okay.
But they just never. It just didn't do anything for me, to be honest. The games.
So what about the new one then?
Same from what I've seen so far. It's not really enticing me at all.
Yeah, I kind of get Doom vibes from it. Like the new one, especially, I think, because of like the creatures that are in it and the fact that the designs and it would have been first person, I do get some very Doom style vibes from it. Not as obviously frantic and as fast paced, but
there's clear inspiration taken from Doom. But there again, you can say that for all first person shooters.
That is very true. That is very true.
Not so much I feel you can do with a first person shooter to a point, really.
Yeah.
Point and shoot.
It seems to be like they've taken Doom but put more of a bit of almost like a slapstick comedy element to it. Rather than more with Doom is actually quite intense at times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Doom Eternal was a game I was looking forward to, but when I got hands on, it just didn't click for me at that moment. So, and Serious Sam looks like a downgrade on that, so I'm just not interested.
I can see where you come from. I know we're probably going to get a little bit more about it in the coming kind of months leading up to its release, but it's nice to see again that we are getting like these updates for these games, which coming to Stadia. So my guess is a trailer dropping there means it's not going to be part of the Connect, which we'll get into our predictions later on. This episode and some more crazy time travel stuff. One game that did get announced coming to Stadia on the 18th of September, so not too far away again, was the WWE 2K Battlegrounds, which was a weird one because we mentioned this on the show, many shows back actually, that it got an ESRB rating if I recall, and then it wasn't at the Connect. We predicted it was going to be at the last Connect, and then it was nowhere to be seen. But now we've had a trailer release. I'm kind of excited for this one. It's been a long time since I've played a wrestling game, and I do recall, what was it, WWE Legends, the one that had that kind of more cartoon aesthetic that came out on, I want to say, a 360 PS3 era.
Yeah, I feel like it's like that very sort of like cartoony, sort of like body shape essentially.
Yeah, everyone's like
torso and so on.
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember what it was. I'm pretty sure it was Legend because it was when they started to reintroduce like Hulk Hogan and stuff back into the mix. There was a lot of games where he's obviously retired and he wasn't in the roster anymore, and then all of a sudden he started becoming part of the marketing material again because everyone knows like Hulkamania. Aside from all the other problems Terry brought to the table, it was nice to see him back in the fold because he is one of the legends in my opinion, regardless of what he got up to. In terms of the Battlegrounds one itself, which I feel like I want a PUBG Battlegrounds. I keep wanting to think like it's something to do with that. You're just gonna see Sting or the Undertaker.
Wrestlers, running and choke slamming everyone, power bombing.
Well, do we get Battle Royale from the Royal Rumble that they do every January? It's that concept, isn't it?
Yes, to be fair. So see the similarities there.
Get them all in the ring
in a global map.
what I can say about this game is it's not your full-on normal wrestling simulator. You can see like the Undertaker basically invoking Raiden from Mortal Kombat, just blasting things with lightning.
Yeah, it's probably one of the first games we've had in a while that blurs the realm of reality with what is WWE. Although I'm pretty sure I recall watching a few matches back in the day where people died on camera and got buried and sand poured on top of them, and then they're not really dead and fire and all this. So there's a lot of flexibility in the world of WWE. But it just looks like almost like Smash Bros style fun, where there's alligators at one point, I believe, as well, and it's all just a bit frantic and cartoony. But it's great to see like they've got like the likes of The Rock and Stone Cold, like the faces that I familiarise with WWE. I haven't watched it in some time, so again, seeing them all plastered across the cover, it doesn't strike me as something that should be a full price title. In honesty, I know we touched on 2K last week about their next gen price hikes for $10, £10 for the ultimate NBA version. I'd be very unwilling to pay $70 for a game of what looks like this kind of
it feels
caliber.
like it should be on like the old on the Xbox 360, like the Xbox arcade style title, where it was sort of like around the I want to sort of say about the £20 marker, just for a fun, silly game kind of thing that you can play with your mate.
It looks like a game that the focus on. He's just make a smaller title that's just fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
And yeah, I reckon the £20 to £25 mark was.
I think that's the shout that I'd make. Yeah.
It depends how much depth we actually get in the game. Actually.
Full on story and career mode.
Yeah,
you never know.
Online ranked matchmaking.
But I know it's been getting some shit because of the art choice and the design, because we're not getting a traditional wrestling game this year. They've suspended it, and it's gonna again after, was it 2K21? 20, sorry.
20.
Just got we ripped it apart as well because of the glitches and people clipping out of the ring and everything, and it was all a bit of a bedlam. So they've announced they're not bringing one out this year, which this is kind of now filling the gap. And I think if you're like that hardcore person who buys it year on year out,
it is and it isn't. I don't think this was ever intended to be filling the gap. Unfortunately, the gap has been created, which it's now filling. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, this has clearly been a side project that they've been working on.
Yeah.
And when the main game's like completely been absolutely horrendous, and with all the problems with developers and stuff going on there. Unfortunately, this has taken a bit of probably unfair heat because of that.
So I think that that titles like this are sometimes they're not given their due credit, because I think it's nice to sometimes get these like arcadey, silly versions of an actual full, fully fledged AAA sort of game. And I think there's kind of a little bit of charm in that, really, because it's sort of like, you can sit down, you can just have a laugh with it. You can laugh at the art and the models and be like, haha, look how stupid The Rock looks, for example. But in reality, he's a massive beefcake anyway. Mm-hmm. But just like the proportions and things like that, you can have fun with it, and then you can just take it to that extra level where you say, you're then sort of like doing the people's elbow off the top of some sort of like skyscraper instead.
Fire.
But I just feel like there's, like I said, the word I'd use is it's charming in a strange sort of fashion there.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is getting a lot of heat for no particular reason. I think give it a chance.
It's a spin-off title that people are now looking at as the mainline title because of things outside of its control.
Yeah.
I think the art style is a bit weird, but I think you probably get used to that very quickly. Yeah. I remember like the first Borderlands, thinking the art style was a bit odd, but then half an hour in, you completely forget about it.
Yeah.
You start seeing the charm. So.
I can see why it's got its frustrations in the audience, because could you imagine something like FIFA 21 not coming out this year, and instead you get a cartoon aesthetic five-a-side mini football game instead, where the shots have like the ball has like flames behind it and everyone can do like crazy backflip slide tackles instead of I could see why the audience would be like show some anger towards it. But I think you're totally right, Tom, in saying like there is a place for these type of games, and that kind of like whimsical natured fun, it needs to exist, because I think it's great, but I don't think it'll be a full price title. I think it'd be very harsh coming out at $70, £60
It's clearly meant to be a spin-off title.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But speaking of smaller titles as well, I jumped in this past Saturday to some more Monster Boy. So anyone who's a fan of the channel, you already subscribed. I jumped in and played a little bit more Monster Boy. I got turned into a pig this week, a pig with an eye patch. Tom, I know you messaged me a couple of times about watching it back, saying how funny it is to watch me get frustrated. I think Ashley, one of our Patreons as well, messaged me saying that she just loves how stressed I'm getting at it. And I say to you, audience, wait until you see episode 3. Like half the episode is a boss fight, and my frustration levels go through the roof. I try and
watch Chris rage at a kid's video game.
It's not a kid's video game. It's got the Saturday morning cartoon. Oh, it's anime. It's all fun. Let's go play nice and friendly in the colourful world. But no. It's absolute cutthroat. Like you will die and lose everything and start again. But this boss fight, man. Whoa! If you've not played it already.
I've got a confession to make. I have not yet actually watched any either episodes of the series.
That's
You're
fine.
missing out. Missing out.
My reasons were simple. As like I'm planning on playing it myself, but I'm gonna have to go and watch them now. I was planning on going in blind and then watching them after I got past certain points.
The thing is, I will add at this point, if you haven't watched it yet and you're worried about watching along some of our gameplay videos and thinking, oh, I don't really want it spoiled and so on, then it's perfectly understandable if you decide not to watch it in the get-go. But perhaps you can always go back and watch a part after you've completed it. I know for a fact that my experience of playing Monster Boy compared to what I've seen Chris do in the first couple of episodes is quite different. Granted, I've taken tips from watching Chris play, but there's also elements of it that he's discovered that I've not quite found yet, or the other way around, and I've had to go back and re-watch the video to try to figure out how he got to a certain location when I've gone essentially almost a completely different path. So give it a shot. It's definitely worth watching, and if you want to watch somebody get frustrated at video games, then I'd definitely say it's well worth your time.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's interesting when we talk about Let's Plays. It's a series that we've done pretty much since we started our channel. When we started with Tomb Raider back in the beginning, when we could all get together in a room and hand the controller from player to player and experience how we all take on the game, on the challenge. Another one me and Richie actually wrapped up with this past Thursday, speaking of Let's Plays, was our Road to Valhalla series, Tom. It ended, we finished the campaign. Wow. Before it actually caught myself and Richie completely, even though I finished the game before, we were clocking in at about 45 or so hours. And all of a sudden, the story just wrapped up and we were thinking, like, even I didn't recall that, and I finished the game. I think because I'd played all the DLC and done all the side missions to get all the achievements, I'd put infinite more hours in. So when we were around the 45 mark, I thought we were well off the end, and then all of a sudden you get a cutscene, and me and Richie sat there going, is that the end? Is that it? So if you've not checked it out already...
It felt like there's, what I was saying during the live stream, it felt like there's one more story arc it needed to tell after the point where it actually just ends.
Mm-hmm.
But
story arc is Valhalla.
Well, yes, it does. So me and Richie spoke about that, thinking we still have a little bit more on the road to go to Valhalla. So I'm going to take some time, I think, to maybe assess the Atlantis DLC. But it just shows you how streamlined we got. And there goes Richie. Oh, he's back. And now we swap.
Back.
Tom, you're now Richie, according to the thing.
Excellent.
Oh no, you swapped back. No, you've shaved the beard off. You're back to Tom. Richie, what? Richie, what excuse have you got for us for that?
I have no idea. Everything just froze on Discord.
Okay, it's all sorted. For our audio listeners out there, the cameras messed around. Tom became Richie very briefly. Maybe that's us messing with the timeline once again. That's the future versions of ourselves that have just
these controls. That my hands are. It wasn't me.
It's getting.
I wasn't touching anything. It just froze like halfway through you saying something, Tom.
The timeline has been fractured.
That's it. We need to go back and repair it, which we will do. But yes,
we had the sands of time.
Maybe. But yes, so check out our Road to Valhalla stream. We'll probably be bringing you some more because it's weird. Because the way it ended, I almost felt like I didn't have that complete. I don't know. There's still a piece missing, so we'll discuss it with Richie, and we may bring you some more episodes. But if not, if you are just wanting to check out the story of Assassin's Creed Odyssey before the inevitable Valhalla, which later on this episode we're probably going to talk about a little bit more, jump in, check that out. All 8 chapters are up now. They're a few hours a piece, and like I said, we do the streamlined main story. So if you're not interested in all the side fluff and content, and you don't have the time to play it yourself, jump in, check that out. We'd appreciate it. Other things we saw this week, then, gentlemen, news-wise, we got the game came out for Formula 1 2020. There was some confusion around the releases. So the Michael Schumacher Deluxe Edition came out 3 days early, whereas the Standard Edition obviously doesn't. It comes out on its release date. Created a lot of confusion. I saw in the Stadia community people asking why the Basic Edition wasn't available last. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. It dropped. Personally, obviously, I was never going to buy it, but just seeing the confusion already just reaffirms my understanding that this is stupid for games. Like the fact that you can pay more to get it early, I hate it. I don't like it. I think it's unfair on the consumer who maybe just can't afford the higher tier model.
It's a narrative that just isn't communicated either, because you see it so rarely with titles, but it does happen with some of them. That I feel like when it does happen, the general gamer, the gamer who isn't like some of yourselves, our listeners, who are essentially trying to keep up and fresh with the news, they're not going to they're not going to know. They're just they just want to get their title, and when they see it in a store and they can't literally click buy on it for whatever reason, it's just going to frustrate and upset them. So it is. I agree with you. It's a stupid narrative, really, to take. It's just not good. It's not good.
Publishers and stuff seem to be doing this a lot now, where they're not even calling the base. They're calling like what was it we were talking about the other week, where like the game was the base version of the game was like called the Premier Edition or something.
Yeah.
It's like
with
what is
Creator,
that?
you have the deluxe version and the premium edition. So
yeah, what is that? Just like you just. But if you don't, what if you sat there like, I don't want the premium edition. I just want the base version of the game. Where is it?
Yeah, it's very very consuming for your general consumer, and even us. To be fair, I guarantee you, the Ubisoft Forward, the editions they release, I know the Valhalla editions in particular, you already get, like you were saying, Richie. There's the special edition, then there's the like premium edition. I think Ubisoft always focus on the gold edition, and then there's always a collector's edition, which comes with other assortments thrown in, like a statue, a steelbook, an art card, and then there's pre-order bonuses on top of that, and then there's the digital deluxe edition. You need a goddamn graphic flow chart just to understand what you get and what you don't get in these things, and it's becoming so kind of construed and mixed up. It's especially now we're on a digital storefront. It's very hard to really understand what you are and you aren't getting, because, like, again, pre-orders on Stadia is still a bit give and take. Like, we don't really know if they're a thing or not. We've seen pre-orders be announced for other platforms, and Stadia's not mentioned, even though we know the game's coming. The pre-orders don't drop at the same time, and it's all just a bit muddy. I'd like to see them clear that up a bit.
I think all you need to do, I think this is not, a lot of this is more on publishers rather than the platform holders, to be honest. And I think what you do is you have your base version of the game, don't give it an extra title, just call it whatever the game is. Have a premium edition, which is basically your base version with whatever season pass, pre-order bonuses, etc. in. And then if you want to have a collector's edition where you get like extra physical goods, fine. And just have it that free tier, and then it's clear. You know what you're getting.
Clear free tier. Excellent. But they need to sort that out sooner rather than later, because again, this digital storefront we have for Stadia, you saying there, Tom, people are clicking on Formula 1 and it's just grayed out. That's not good enough. You can't just have the icon for the game there. And you just like, is that person essentially is probably going to just keep checking it, it's grayed out, it just mustn't be available, or I can't buy it. And then that might lose the sale, because they're just going to go, oh, well, I'll just get it on the PlayStation instead, or I'll get it on my Xbox or whatever other platform they may have. You don't want that. Something
else comes out.
Yeah, well, they just move on. Just go, well, it's not available. Like, again, how many times do we buy things just because it's there on the store? And like, not games, just like any digital storefront. I buy so much from Amazon just because I see it and it's an impulsive purchase. If something puts me off, I add it to the basket, or I get that couple of moments to actually think on it. There's quite often you remove stuff, or you, like you said, Richie, you just move on. Something else distracts you, and you're like, oh, you know what?
There's a concept in e-commerce that is exactly that, which is literally like the time to get from adding something to a basket to checking out. You want to make it as minimal as possible for that exact reason. You literally don't want people to change their minds or have that moment where they go, am I making the right decision here?
Yeah.
There's literally a concept that exists. It's a psychological state of mind.
I want to buy this thing, but the longer you wait, go, oh shit, I've got my electric bill to pay for.
Yeah, it really is.
Get from A to B. That's where Stadia works fantastically when it works fantastically. Like, if you put the game there and you can hit buy, shit, no regrets at this point. It's already done, right?
Yeah, and you can play it
48 hours.
And you can play it within like what, a minute and a bit. The game's booted up and you're good to go. So you don't even have that like download doubt of, oh, it's going to take 2 hours to download. And you think, actually, I'll go do the garden. I'll go out. I'll go get some food. I'll have a shower, and then before then you realise, like, actually I'm not into gaming tonight because I've busied myself doing other stuff. So yeah, very, very small window to get into. And speaking of small windows, we should probably crack on, gentlemen, because we've got a big episode to get through with our reactions on top of that. 2 new games announced for Stadia. We've got Celeste, which we didn't break last week, but we spoke about ESRB rated. Celeste is coming to Stadia, official, no date, # coming soon. Happy for that, thrilled to bits that we're getting a Game of the Year indie title. And then that was followed up with another game, which was I want to say Hijo. I know I'll probably slandered it. Hijo. Do I need to add that to it?
Well, you don't have to add that, but you definitely have to have that silent J. You don't pronounce that.
Hijo. A Wild West tale. Yeah. So that one in particular, obviously we spoke about Celeste last week. This one came under the radar, so it just goes to show that the ESRB don't have every leak available to us, but essentially it says a Wild West Tale is an exciting, non-violent stealth game in which you guide a 6-year-old boy on his quest to find his mother across a remote monastery, a harsh, unforgiving stretch of desert, and a frontier town rife with crime and villainy. Sounds like Mos Eisley, right? Players need to find solutions to progress by combining stealth and puzzle solving. Did this tickle any of your fancy? Obviously, Celeste we know about. This game, I don't think, is out anywhere, right? It's totally out of the blue. No one's seen it before?
No,
it's not released anywhere.
No, it's available to wishlist on Steam. It is coming to Switch, Xbox One, and PS4, but so far it isn't anywhere at all. But I really like the one thing I really like is games that use the isometric sort of 3D from a 2D perspective visual, and I really like that about this. And stealth and puzzle games, yeah, cool, fantastic. It's just got that really nice art style to it. Like, I have a soft spot for indies like this. I really, really do.
It actually,
I'm really glad it's coming.
It reminds me of, if you ever played the Lara Croft Go or the Hitman Go games, it's got a similar, like you said, that isometric puzzle solving. All it's really missing is the grid. Like, it seems to still have the same, avoid the enemy that way, go pull the ladder across, do this, to solve the puzzle, but without the turn-based grid system. It's more just free flow, but it's still, like you said, that isometric one. By Handy Games as well, who are... Which one do they make?
They were the publishers for Spitlings.
Ah, that's the one. Those are the guys.
Yeah.
I thought I recognised Handy Games. But either way, coming to Stadia, very exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to that one. So yeah, more games on Stadia. Fantastic. Speaking of games on Stadia, gentlemen, we have a big event coming up this Tuesday. We should probably talk about that. It's a little event you may have heard of. It's been in some of your calendars for quite some time. It is, in fact, the second, correct me if I'm wrong, Stadia Connect. I would say Google Connect. Second Stadia Connect of the year?
Second of the year, third overall. So we obviously had the one, the original,
like
the OG
launch.
Then we received one earlier on, sort of around about, I want to say it was March time.
April?
Was it? It was
28th
maybe
of April,
yeah,
I think. 28th of April.
It was right at the start of lockdown, wasn't it? Really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, life is going such a strange way at the moment, where I feel like
it's just gone so fast. Where
I feel like 6 months have passed, but nothing has really happened. And now we are, now we're right in the thick of it, in the summer of gaming again, and we're getting another one. We were promised that we were going to get game reveals at this one. They said, we'll see you in the summer for more game announcements. So
indeed,
here we are. We're literally, at the time this is released, it's tomorrow. So,
it's interesting you mentioned that we got Celeste not as part of the Connect. It's going to be game reveals. That's an easy win if you've got that in the bag.
Yeah, it's an interesting one that we did get these. I think we actually spoke about it in our own chat group, that the fact that Celeste, which is again a game of the year nominated one indie game, that would be a great shout to have at the Connect this Tuesday. However, they opted to just release it as part of a blog post last week, which surely says that the Connect has got some big stuff lined up. If they're willing to, if you can only hope, if they're willing to drop this. Like, it just seems daft that it wouldn't be in the Connect, right? Unless they're worried that the community is going to be angry at the lack of news again.
It might be a case of, because it's not a new game, although it is a much beloved one. Because if this was what Celeste is good enough to almost open your show with, like, apart from if you're worried about backlash or people going, well, I've already got it on Switch. I sort of feel that you've got to start, if you want to really get people's attention, you start off with a AAA and you end with a AAA that isn't out yet, and literally just be like, bam, this is what you can expect. Yeah, you need to bookend your press conference.
Yeah, your hype points throughout, and Google, again, the masters of analytics, they will know exactly when within this video they need to have those hype points, because they know from the YouTube algorithms and so on, they'll know when the dip-off point is for people dropping out at any point during a video.
And they have access to all the data for every single
we've said before,
conference, every single EA conference, the works.
Definitely. But it's surprising, isn't it, that they announced Celeste before. I'm just hoping it's not going to be a Connect where they reveal 7 of their past Tomb Raider games as individual titles coming to Stadia, because that'd really disappoint me.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be the Tomb Raider platform. I don't. I gotta be honest.
So, here we are, gentlemen. The Kinect is within reaching distance. I can practically reach out and touch it. Oh, it looks like I'm about to touch Tom's face, actually, the way the angle's working. We need to give predictions for this because we did them last time. We put a pizza bet on it. Hopefully we've had some time to think between the short window between now and the Ubisoft forward ones. Obviously, I think there's personally going to be a little bit of overlap. I think we should get it out there nice and early. We're all under the understanding that we can't take Apex Legends as one of our predictions, correct? Because we all feel quite confident that it's coming because of the EA leak that happened at the live event. Even though we've heard nothing more since, we all feel... I'm personally quite confident it is going to be there. One of the points to probably discuss...
where all 3 of us would kind of put it in as a definite, then it's kind of boring for us to put it in.
Exactly. Are you guys under the right impression that it may be one of the day and date drops, so it's available now?
I would expect that if they announce it, that it will be day and date. I think either that day or that same week, one or the other. But I don't want to sort of get cynical about it, but I really, really do hope that they do announce it.
It would be kind of a...
If it would be a big drop if they suddenly just go,
I think even if it's not day and day, I think it'll come with a title, with a date.
And again,
it's coming out on mobile. It's got to come to Stadia.
Yeah, Switch are getting it this summer. I think they announced by the end of this summer. So yeah, definitely. So we'll draw land to that one. Look forward to seeing Apex Legends hopefully on Stadia announced this coming Tuesday. By the way, join us, check us. We're doing live reactions to it, just like we did the Ubisoft Forward this past Sunday as well. See what I did there, guys? I said this past Sunday as though it's already happened, even though we've not done it. I'm getting there in that timeline zone. I'm like Captain America
very
himself.
Hard about that, haven't you?
I did, yeah. I had to really make sure I get my
past Infinity Stones
past and tense, yeah. No, Tom, I don't think I will. Anyway, right, predictions. How are we doing this, gentlemen? So we did our Ubisoft ones last week. What order do you want to go in for this? Because it doesn't just fit into Ubisoft. This could be anything we could have. I don't know if you want to do a segment for... I think, actually, yeah. You know what? Forget your opinions. I'm going with it. We want 3 AAA titles.
He's took over the show.
I've took over the show. 3 AAA titles. I've seen the future, Richie. I know what happens. This is what we need to do. Right. I want 3 AAA titles, 3 indie titles, and a new feature, like feature-wise, what we're going to see as well.
Okay. All right.
I think that because again it creates some structure.
I don't know what I don't know. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
How do I just come up with just random names of titles? Blob 2's going to come out.
No, it needs to be. Well, obviously we know they're going to have some new games, but I think a big part of this Connect is they are going to be existing games because we know the library needs to be fleshed out, bigger, right?
Okay.
So, would you like me to get you started?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you're offering, sure, fire away.
Right, Richie, you keep score on this. Stadia been working quite well with Bethesda Studios. We finally did get Doom. I think Bethesda will feel like they owe Stadia something, so it's inevitable. I'm calling it. We're getting Skyrim on Stadia. Mark me down for that, Richard.
Skyrim plays on a toaster at this point, so yeah, sure.
I just think with Elder Scrolls being out there and Doom and Rage, they've got a after Ubisoft, arguably Bethesda are the next best supporter, and they want to get Skyrim as a joke. It's almost like an antiquated joke if they don't bring it to Stadia at this point. So
yeah, you've got to get Skyrim on Stadia just because for the meme.
Just for the joke. You can't not do it.
A relevant platform when you've got Skyrim.
Yeah, legally, Bethesda have to port it to any new platform that's available.
Gee, I'm afraid I'm gonna jump in here, and I'm gonna throw one out there as well. I'm gonna go down the indie path here, and I'm gonna give you my reasoning for it. I think we get an announcement for Stardew Valley coming to Stadia, and the reason for that is because it's published by 505 Games, who very recently published a game called Journey to the Savage Planet. Now, we know which studio Google recently acquired. So I think we've got some sort of relationship going on there.
Interesting.
Now, if you want to dive even deeper with that, and I'm not gonna call this here. If you want to dive even deeper, 505 also published Death Stranding, which happens to be coming out on PC the same day as the Stadia Connect. Not only that, but Chris, you like a game called Control, don't you?
I do indeed.
I believe they also published Control.
They did indeed, yeah. Remedy.
I can't keep throwing this many predictions.
No. I'm not calling any of those as predictions. I'm calling Stardew Valley, but I just wanted to throw out that moment there for you.
Interesting. Right. I like the rabbit hole you went down there, Tom. You kind of linking all the dots. Yeah. It makes sense, actually. I like it.
Yeah.
I think I didn't do much. I completely forgot to actually come up with some predictions before the show, to be perfectly honest with you, so mine are going to be a bit erratic. But I disagree with Bethesda being the second biggest publisher on Stadia. I actually think it's Square.
Okay.
And I'm going to see ports of Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2.
Okay. Oh, it's getting tasty out there. I like how you said, "I'm going to see," as though it's like it's going to happen. Yeah. I'm going to see.
They're older games, but I think they're probably fairly easy to port over, and bring more Final Fantasies to Stadia. Why not?
Interesting. Does that go back? Are we just going in a circle? Just back around?
We may as well, because if we start bouncing
we get a bit confused, don't we? Yeah. In and amongst all the time travel, we don't need any more confusion.
No.
So for my So for my my next AAA game, I do think we're going to find out what EA's final game is. So we know we've got FIFA coming to Stadia. We know we've got Madden coming. We know we've got Fallen Order. I do actually think we'll get a date for Fallen Order, but that's not really here neither there. It's about time they'll probably lock a date in for it. We all think we're going to get Apex. So that would be 4 of 5. Little bit disappointing, but I do honestly think the 5th game from EA that we're going to see on Stadia is going to be The Sims. So again, nothing groundbreaking, nothing new, but I think that will be the next game, because we've said before it works really well with the keyboard and mouse component. At the EA Live event, EA made a big deal of giving The Sims like a good 10-minute chunk segment about it still being relevant. There's millions of players around the globe. They didn't announce a new game. They just basically, it looks like it's going to be turned into more of a platform where it's just going to be iterative DLC on top of it. Here's some new couches, here's some new character figure, everything like that. So not the biggest out there, I understand that, but yeah,
I like it though.
Yeah, Sims.
I think the Stadia is a good home for The Sims. Mm-hmm. We've talked before how like Sims is quite poorly optimized and can pretty much run your PC into the ground, even with reasonable hardware. Stadia would mitigate that problem, and it also means that people could play on their phones.
Yeah,
because Sims has been very much a casual game. Mm-hmm. Stadia lends itself well to that marketplace.
Yeah,
I like it.
Right.
Over to you, Tom.
Where do I go now? I gotta think about this one, because I feel like Chris has made a really safe bet on AAA with Skyrim. I think that's a safe bet. So I'm going to dig back into my previous predictions for the last Connect, and I am going to say that we now see the partnership between Stadia and Activision Blizzard at this point, okay? Or with Blizzard in general. And I want to see, and this is a risky one, but Diablo 4 is in the works. I want to see Diablo 4 announced as coming to Stadia, so I'm going to put Diablo 4 down for one of my AAAs. Probably I'm going.
That's bold.
I know. I'm going to get called out on it. I know. Last time I did this, I'm going to get called out on it. Yeah, I'm going to go Diablo 4. Just an announcement on it. That's all.
Just an announcement.
Okay.
What have you got for us, Richie?
Okay, I'm going to indies, and we've already mentioned it in this show. I think Celeste is going to be a pro game.
Okay. So
Okay.
So what do we put that down as? I don't think that's a.
I've-
We know it's definitely on Stadia. So I feel like you can't really have that as a prediction.
Right. It's a pro game for August.
Right.
Right.
We still want an indie title out of you though.
It is. That is my indie title.
But we know it's coming. That's like me saying Jedi Fallen Order again and getting a point for it.
Surely that counts, like, because I'm not saying my prediction's not an announcement. It's an announcement of
Prediction
it being a pro
is
game.
that it's going to be pro for August.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, we need a different category for that then.
No, it just takes up one of my indie slots.
But we know it's coming though. I don't know.
then
Tom, what do you
as I
feel with
said-
this one?
Well, the Blob 3.
All right. You want to
I'm-
go with Welder Blob 3?
This
This is what happens when someone doesn't come prepared to a predictions episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna play
You
devil's
made up the
advocate
rules.
here. I feel like I've got to be the adjudicator here, and I'm gonna say I think I side with Chris on this. Like I don't think that fills the indie slot. I think that has to.
Separate category.
I reckon I feel almost like that has to take up one of his feature slots, if anything, because pro is a feature as opposed to an indie title.
I revoke my prediction since my voted. I'm going to see for feature. I'm going to say YouTube integration.
Ooh,
Okay, just out the gate with that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
So now, do you want to give us an actual game title then, Richie?
No.
Are you gonna go? All right, okay. We'll keep going back around then. We'll keep going back around. Tom, have you got? I've gave Skyrim and The Sims. Have you got another AAA title or any other game you like to throw in?
AAA. And again, I feel like I'm going a little bit bold with this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Dark Souls Trilogy. Like Richie, I think Richie called this on the previous Connect. I think it was Richie.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't me. I don't think.
Somebody did. It might even have been me actually. thinking about it, but you know,
We need more time travel magic to figure
Yeah,
that
Tom,
out.
it was you.
It was me. There we go. Dark Souls Trilogy.
You were wrong last time, but you.
Episode 31.
Mate, I'm just hopeful. I just need it. I need it on the platform.
Cool. Okay. Exciting stuff.
I'm going to steal some of my predictions from that episode, actually.
Just goes back and copies and pastes the whole thing over. Right then, so AAA for me, then my final AAA title. I do think I've got a few wrote down, but if I'm going to lock one in, I do think similar to Tom, we're going to see the fruits of maybe an Activision partnership finally, and we're going to see the Crash Bandicoot titles come across. My feeling is they won't go in with the new one straight away. I think it'll be the trilogy to test the water, to see what the appetite on Stadia is for it. And I think it's a really good game to test the water in a relationship. It's not going to be Call of Duty Warzone. I think that's too big and demands too high of a player base. Whereas something that's family friendly, got the nostalgia, it's been doing blockbuster numbers for them everywhere else, especially in the UK. Put it on Stadia, test the water, and I'll be doing a let's play of it.
Yeah.
If it comes.
Do that stream up a play if you want to.
Let's
play the
stream.
Let's stream. I mean, you are streaming anyway.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Hey, why not? Ooh. Do I finish off my AAAs here? I just feel like I just feel like no matter what I do, I just feel like I'm going really, really bold with it.
That's why they're predictions.
Right, okay. Am I... No, we did this at the last episode. We talked about it. I was going to go with the Borderlands Handsome Jack collection, but I feel like I can't take that. I feel like I can't take it because we discussed it already. So I am going to go the Square Enix route, actually, as well as Richie. But I am going to say that we see...
Many hours later.
This is bold.
We definitely need some more time travel magic here to
Yeah.
kill this time. Richie, you got anything while Tom thinks?
No. Final Fantasy
got a few
14
ideas.
online. Final Fantasy 14 online comes to Stadia. It's on every other console. Oh, it's not on Switch. But hey,
Okay.
But hey, so you got some Final Fantasy love out there.
Final Fantasy 14.
Oh.
Mine's more of a wish list, if I'm being honest. Looking through this.
I think that's what predictions are, because the Stadia keeps so much of their stuff close to the chest in terms of business deals and stuff. We have to like scrape the barrel for like just news stories sometimes. We have to feasibly. I'm just thinking like what titles I would like to personally see, but then also realistically, it shouldn't be too difficult to get them across. We can't just suddenly pull a AAA game out of our ass that we've never seen exist yet. So it makes sense that we just go back through games we love and know do well. You're not going to port shit games to Stadia. Like, what's the point in going back in a game that got like 3 out of 10 Metacritic and stuff and barely sold anything? You're not going to bother porting that. So we can actually cultivate a really good library of games here. So why not go big on games we love?
Yeah, I think the thing with Stadia as well, I wouldn't like a massive next generation AAA title. I'm not expecting it to be announced at the Connect. I don't think there's going to be enough eyes on the Connect that the publishers will agree to that sort of deal.
Exactly.
A PlayStation or Microsoft event, probably a yes. But I think Stadia, it's not big enough. So that kind of takes a lot of like things like that's why something like a Valhalla, I wouldn't expect to see really much at the Connect.
So what you
maybe
give us,
the
Richie?
trailer we already have. So I'm going with the Ezio collection.
Okay, I could see that definitely being a possibility in line with the Ubisoft Uplay stuff being announced.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a lot of Ubisoft games actually to come with Uplay.
We know the partnership is really tight at the moment, so yeah, for sure.
Indie titles then. Do you need an indie title from me, Richie?
Well, we need 3 indie titles from you and the feature.
Okay, I'm just going to give it on account of time. Let's have a look. See what I've got wrote down on my little piece of paper right here. Indie game number 1 from Chris. I'm going with. It's just announced this past week. It sold over 1 million copies elsewhere. I'm going with A Plague Tale: Innocence coming to Stadia.
Okay.
I think it's done really well. I think people were surprised by it. And personally, it's one that's been on my radar for quite some time. I've heard nothing but good things. I've just not got around to it. And it seems to fit in that kind of... I feel like it would definitely appeal to Stadia bringing it over. And again, with it being a smaller studio, the more money that's thrown at them, the better. So I think a negotiating standpoint from Google would be very easy to get them to port it across. So yeah, that's one of my first ones.
Right, you get one, then we'll move on.
Okay. There you go then. There's one.
We'll roll around.
Otherwise, you take all the indies.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go next, and I'm going to go with, again, a game I'd love to see, and I feel like it needs to come to Stadia, Dead Cells, Metroidvania-style indie game.
So I've still got a AAA and 3 indies, because I've already used my feature. I am struggling with this, to be honest.
Do you want one of mine?
Nah, I'll come up with something. I'm going to use an indie slot now. I'm going to go Untitled Goose Game.
Damn it!
Okay. All right.
Okay, I've lost one now.
You said
I think that
you,
might be
you asked me if you wanted it.
Connect, Chris.
Yeah.
I've literally copied them all over.
Damn it! I thought everyone would have
Well,
forgot
Chris.
about Goose Game. Indie games. I feel like Richie mentioned it at some point, but in line with the Ubisoft one and my forward predictions, I think we will see Valiant Hearts from Ubisoft ported over quite soon.
Right.
And then hopefully later on, like literally within 20, 30 minutes, we'll see a sequel announced from them, but we'll see.
Okay. And interestingly, I feel for my final indie game, I think we're going to see some support from Supergiant Games. I think we're going to see... Now, I feel like I have to sort of call out which one in particular. But most recently, they released Hades. So I'm going to go with Hades, but they're also the developers of Bastion and Transistor, if you remember those indie titles as well. Fantastic titles. Pyre as well, little lesser known, wasn't as hyped as Bastion and Transistor when they came out, but I'd really like to see Hades as well come out. So I'm going to go with Hades by Supergiant Games.
That'd be interesting.
All right. For my final game, AAA, I'm going to go Rainbow Six Siege, day and date.
So okay, so just announced on Tuesday.
Oh, well, no, not day and date. I'm going to say we get a date.
Okay.
And
Right.
it's within 1 month
Okay.
of the Connect.
I like all the little caveats you're adding onto that.
Yeah, it's almost too easy with no caveats.
Yeah. Cool. I like it.
Wait till
I
it's
like
not announced.
Um,
Don't even mention it.
So what do we need? So you need one.
Feature.
An indie or a feature.
Oh yeah.
from myself. Final indie game then, I'm going to go with Outer Wilds. Not Outer Worlds, the other acclaimed, amazing blockbuster. It almost won a lot of Game of the Years, 2019. Little indie game from Mobius Digital. I think, look, again, one of those that was on my radar and just never got around to playing it. I think it'd be a great port over to Stadia and get away from that stigmatism of Outer Worlds. So yeah, that is my final indie prediction.
Right, well, it's over to me then for my feature then at this point, isn't it?
I don't know, actually, because Chris doesn't have a feature. I'm one behind here.
Either way, we're very pushed for time, gentlemen. So let's get through this. As we record this, the literal the Ubisoft Forward starts in like 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, feature-wise, I think we are going to get. I think we get the actual drop of the family sharing. I think we get family sharing. Mm-hmm. So we've seen all the rumors behind the scenes. We've seen the coding dug out by Gem right there. I think they launch it. I think they launch family share.
Family share.
All right. For the sake of time, I'm just going to chuck out my final two predictions, both indie games, and they're going Super Meat Boy and Bastion.
Super Meat Boy, okay. Be cool.
Honestly, I had nothing was coming to mind, so there you go.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So Chris,
I could see them. Final feature, I genuinely think they're going to announce Stadia 2.0, whatever that looks like. Ooh, I think we're getting close to next gen release now. We must be mere weeks away from finding out when the PS5, when the Xbox Series X actually come out, because I want my PS5 pre-order locked in, quite frankly. They can't wait much longer, which in turn, as a competitor to those platforms, Stadia need to start competing going into this holiday season, and I don't think they can do that talking about old tech. If they have a Connect in the summer, now is the chance to get ahead and go, you know those other two consoles that have announced all their iterative new versions? This is how we're going to compete going into Christmas time. He's the next bunch of teraflops. He's our new bunch of games. He's new features like Tom suggested, like family share and stuff. All the YouTube integration we spoke about. Here it is. We're just as good, if not better. But guess what? You don't need to drop $500, £500 this coming Christmas. Get Stadia right now, Pro, and then they'll probably give more money away or something for free to get people in. But my prediction is, we are actually going to hear about how Stadia is going to compete with next-gen consoles. Boosh.
Okay.
Boosh.
Boosh.
I like that.
All done and dusted.
He's done.
Final one then, just before we wrap up, gents. Any out-and-out big blowout predictions? Just shout them out that you'd like to see.
Mass Effect Trilogy.
Nice.
It's not even been announced.
Mass Effect Trilogy. Richie, what have you got?
I'm going to go with Mass Effect Trilogy as well.
Mass Effect Trilogy. One for me, I think, is... I mentioned it for my Forward event, but again, I'll just drive home the message. I think Ubisoft are going to partner with Stadia to make a exclusive second-party title, similar to the Rabbids Kingdom and Mario on the Switch. Ubisoft made that game just for Nintendo exclusively. Why can't that team do the exact same thing with Stadia? Watch this space for an exciting game. But what's that? I'm getting a quick message in. What's that? It's a past version of Chris reporting to us live from the Ubisoft Forward event on Sunday the 12th of July. He does, yeah. He's got that pizza order in. He wants us to transition over to that. So, Tom, Richie, if you're okay, we're going to transition over to that, and then we'll come back
I'm ready to go.
Wrap up the show.
We record the podcast. We're going to drop this into the podcast as our reactions. That's why it sounds confusing as shit, but I forgive you not. We'll clear it up with our reactions right now. So, first takes, Tom, what did you think of the very first Ubisoft Forward event?
I was expecting more. I'm going to be absolutely straightforward with that. Like, I don't feel there was enough there to get hyped about. Like, I was thought the footage was cool. Great. Mm-hmm. You know, we saw some real good gameplay and the mechanics of Watchdogs Legion and what they've done with the game since we last heard of it. Hyperscape looks brilliant. Very much excited for that. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, excellent. But other than that, it's just a little bit of, like, nothing. I hate to say it. I mean, Ubisoft games are great, and we can always expect good things from them. But I almost feel like, I don't know. I feel like they waste a lot of time by just talking about stuff behind the scenes. I feel like they're worried that if they took the behind the scenes stuff out, that the video would just be really short and people would be like, what's the point? Yeah.
Richard, I kind of 100%. I'm 100% agree. It just feels like what we saw was great, but I kind of want more. Like, I was expecting more.
Yeah.
Was there even anything new there apart from it's just more information about stuff we already know, wasn't it?
Well, technically, Far Cry 6 was new, but just due to leaks, we weren't as maybe as caught off guard as we would have been. I would have appreciated going into that trailer more with all the James Bond aesthetics and the music and the tones, not knowing what it was. For then the reveal of the Far Cry 6 would have been like, oh, fantastic, that's awesome. But yeah, again, the leaking that ahead of time does kind of take it away from the landing impact a little bit. Is there one last thing? Seeing more Valhalla, fantastic. Again, we said throughout the stream there, it looks like Odyssey with a Viking skin over it, which isn't a bad thing to say the least. Odyssey got a lot of Game of the Year nomination nods. It was a lot of people's favourite game of 2019. 2018? 2018. 2018. Again, we're not great with time travel if you've not understood that already.
First time doing it.
First time doing it, yeah. First rookie mistakes will happen. I mean, the footage that we can see right on screen right now is just... It looks like more Odyssey. Yes, they said you got dual-wielding weapons, which is great to know. You've got your homestead now. Throwback to Assassin's Creed 3. You're going to be able to upgrade them men. They added some new villain characters in, some new enemy types. Looks like attacking fortresses and stuff with like drawbridges. There's going to be different stages to taking down strongholds, essentially. But all in all, we didn't really see that much out of it. I didn't think.
We got a return of more stealth mechanics.
Yeah.
Which I personally think is a good thing, because I know they're trying to go a bit more RPG, but it's still an Assassin's Creed game.
What I'm worried about with Assassin's Creed Valhalla is knowing what British weather is stereotypically like, and I'm sure there's also some history to it too. But I am worried that the Britain part of it will be very grey and be very sort of like you won't get the full feel of it. Like, you'll want to probably spend more time in Norway or like the Scandinavian region, seeing the Northern Lights at night and the snow and so on. Whereas for me, it's going to be like rainy.
I don't know. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that because I think Ubisoft, especially with Assassin's Creed, try to get a certain element of realism in the world they create. So there will be elements where it is kind of overcast and grey and stuff, but Britain isn't always just grey and miserable. It can actually be a very beautiful place to be at times. So I trust Ubisoft to actually do the legwork to find that out.
Yeah. Looks like they've got the decision-making elements are back, though, as well. Looks like a Witcher 3 shot right there. Again, massive open-world RPG that we've got. So, yeah, we actually saw some gameplay, to be fair. Thetford? Is that just Thetford, do we think? That location there.
Probably.
Apologies to audio listeners. We are just talking over footage that's now looping. In terms of the game, I mean, I was sold on it anyway beforehand, but just seeing more of it, just kind of, I want to get it now. And then knowing that it drops on November 17th. They did say it's coming to Stadia, which we knew anyway, but it's nice to see that confirmation at the time of actually seeing it. The other big game that I spent, in my opinion, probably a bit too long on was Watchdogs Legion. They opened with Watchdogs Legion with a cinematic kind of small movie, and then they went into some actual gameplay mechanics of it. Obviously, we got the date, to Tom's disappointment, October 29th, which is not too far away. Obviously, we should have all been playing Watchdogs Legion by now. Any new thoughts on Watchdogs, gentlemen?
I really like it. I really like the direction they've taken with it. And as far as Watchdogs games go, I've never really been taken by the first two. I definitely wasn't taken by the first one. The second, I didn't really manage to delve much into. But certainly the aesthetic of this and the sort of, as I said when we actually watched the event, it's almost got like a Saints Row feel to it. And I think that sort of not taking itself seriously element with that little bit of humor on the side really sort of makes it a little bit more appealing to me, because again, there's something, I mean, my keyword for the day is charm. There's something a little bit charming about literally just taking the piss with the game a little sometimes. It's just, if you can make fun, if you can poke fun at yourself, then sure, go for it. Brilliant. Makes you a better person, makes you a better game.
Kingsbury, indeed.
Yeah,
it does.
I think it looks exciting. I'm similar to you. Like, the Watch Dogs I've just never been interested in it, but this actually looks pretty cool. Looks like they're doing some interesting stuff. Very, very Big Brother, like 1940? 1984 and like Animal Farm sort of vibes going on, which I think will make a very interesting narrative.
So are you saying the guy with the pig face mask is Napoleon from Animal Farm.
It's clearly inspired by it. In the trailer, they were definitely paraphrasing some of the more common lines out of the novel.
Interesting stuff. In terms of Watch Dogs itself, it's obviously hitting home at a time when the world's very weird, and I think that it's probably for the betterment that they're leaning into more that wacky, zany, neon colour cyberpunk approach almost, because it's almost kind of hitting too close to home right now with lockdown, everything's still going on. I'm glad they've leaned more into the humorous side of things with you get to play as a granny instead, and I can totally see that the delays maybe benefited them in terms of the marketing. I personally really enjoyed the first two Watch Dogs game, got the Platinum Trophy on PlayStation in both 1 and 2. I also enjoyed number 2 much more when they did lean more heavily into the kind of the fun stuff with the drones and the hacking as opposed to it all being like a serious story, and this just looks more of the same with the masks, the different layouts. More importantly, I think the approach to when you can take on enemy bases and stuff, it looks like you can approach it with 8, 9, 10 different characters, and they all bring different things to the approach. Did you two have a particular favourite character that jumped out in the collection they showed us?
No, to be honest.
I kind of liked the drone play style. I liked the idea of being able to do things there. I mean, the John Wick character was very, obviously very much sort of like your hitman type bloke, really. Who else did we see? We saw the construction worker as well, who just went completely ham on that bloke with a wrench.
He did indeed.
I just feel like there's going to be so much versatility to it that I imagine at some point, knowing the way that Ubisoft games typically work, that not every single person you recruit is going to be purely unique. There's going to be some sort of trait that carries across certain archetypes. Like you're going to have like your bruisers or something. You're going to have like a big heavy weapon. You're going to have like your techie people with the drones. You're a stealthy people with like the hitman assassination type.
You just probably common people who you're not expecting, not probably going to have much like real abilities, but probably more likely to blend in.
I feel like it might even be like procedurally generated. So like they create a character, they generate a name from a list of names, and then it also pulls like 3 traits for that person, of which it builds, builds that persona for them, really. That's the kind of feeling that I'm going to get from it.
Each almost like class will have like a list of traits that I just pulls from.
One I will address, watching so much Watch Dogs and then overlap that with some Assassin's Creed Valhalla, do the games look very similar to you guys? Like in terms of just like, I know a lot of Ubisoft sometimes get a bit of stick for being, they all look the same. Seeing them kind of like so close together back to back of new titles, it's kind of like, especially with the upgrade mechanics and the skill tree approaches, and then attacking, both one in Watch Dogs attacking like a military base, it looks like, or it was the Tower of London, right? So it genuinely is, the Tower of London could actually be in Valhalla, just the old edition version of it. In terms of like the actual like visual fidelity and stuff, obviously it's all work in progress still. They all look like Ubisoft games still, right?
Yeah, I mean, they are Ubisoft games, but I think
the
key difference is, the key difference between them is going to be very much a play style, where Valhalla, you're very much, he's your character, you're playing through a single player narrative. Where I think with Watch Dogs, it's going to be almost about the team, almost Ocean's 11 sort of feeling, where like you're going to assemble a team to do this particular job.
Yeah.
So I think
we're going to break in the Tower of London with your crew.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of commonalities behind. They're probably going to use the same game engine, but I think they'll feel like different games when you get in there.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'd hope so. I'd hope there's a distinguishing factors. Speaking of games that don't look too different but also look exactly the same, we got a Tom Clancy game announced for iOS and mobile, right? Fortnite aesthetics with Sam Fisher thrown in there for the mix for a good crack. Thoughts on that one, gentlemen? Nice and quick.
Fine.
Bit of a waste of Mr. Fisher.
I feel like it's just like clinging on to an IP that that people have near and dear to their hearts, and they're sort of like having a bit of a throwback with it. Let's put them into this janky looking kids game.
The thing is, there's been a couple of times where they've brought Sam Fisher in as DLC and stuff like this, almost like a hero character in several games. It's like, it's weird that they're doing it. They know it's a beloved character. They know there's a big, passionate fan base behind Splinter Cell.
Mm-hmm.
I still think they're building up to something. It's almost like they're teasing. Otherwise, it's like every single time they bring it, it's almost like, oh, so you're not going to bring Splinter Cell?
Yeah, it's like this is what you could have, but he's a lesser version of it almost.
It's almost like Ubisoft telling us, yes, we're aware, he still exists.
Yeah, he's still a thing. We haven't forgot. He's a Fortnite skin of him, basically, for a different game.
Yeah.
We also got some updates for Brawlhalla and Rainbow Six Siege. So it's great to see that Rainbow Six Siege thanked their 60 million players, which is a crazy number in itself. No new announcements, disappointingly, for Siege. It was just more of just a thank you message for the audience. I expect to see a bit more. In terms of addressing the elephant in the room then, that's pretty much it for what we actually seen from the event. Ubisoft Forward spanned, it was an hour, just short of. Richie, our predictions then that we had. Do you want to run us through what we were hoping to see?
Okay.
And what actually didn't show up at all. So bear in mind, lots of Ubisoft hopes and dreams we had pinned on this event, being their first digital one. I, in a nutshell, quite frankly, am just not disappointed, but just like, I don't feel like I've seen a full event. I feel like I got half of an event. Yeah. And it's missing such a wealth of their library that they didn't even mention or showcase. So come on, Richie, give us the breakdown. What did we hope for?
I think what I'm about to say will actually strengthen your opinion there, because Chris, your predictions were a new Prince of Persia game, Rainbow Six Siege, I keep doing that. Rainbow Six Quarantine, date and new name, Skull and Bones, new name and single player, a new indie title, probably Valiant Hearts 2, and some sort of Stadia partnership. Tom, the only person to get a prediction right, and it happened before the event, Far Cry 6.
Oh, no, I was very close to getting 2 right.
Yes, being very close to getting the second right and actually getting right and not the same thing.
True.
The one he failed to get correct was the Watchdogs Legion, where he said November, because he's a fool. It's clearly October.
Yeah, October, Tom. Why would you even think November?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like a whole 2 days off. The new Rayman game, Gods and Monsters, and For Honor 2. I went with Assassin's Creed Valhalla day and date with PS5 and Xbox Series X, which still I've put myself down as a no because we've got an actual date, but that could still happen because we don't know the date of the console. So I'm assuming it's a no, but so you're gonna have to wait on your pizza, Tom, just in case.
That's fine, mate. It's fine.
Yeah, Just Dance 2021, but with no appearance on Wii. The return of Splinter Cell, which as one more thing, which I can't give myself just because Sam Fisher appeared in a different game.
Yeah. Beyond
Good and Evil, something about it, and a port of the South Park games.
So you reading that list out, Richie, though, just really highlights the wealth of amazing titles and IP that Ubisoft have in their library, and yet they brought 4 things to the table for their first ever digital event, replacing essentially E3 this year. And Ubisoft usually go big at E3. The fact that we didn't get a Just Dance mention whatsoever is surprisingly enough.
They have mentioned in their credit that there's going to be another forward, but again, we don't know when. So if they're going to do these things more frequently, then the approach they're taking probably will make more sense a couple of forwards down the line.
Tom, what are your thoughts?
What massive event? Let's just have loads of small events.
I'm going to throw out not unpopular opinion, but just like my thoughts on it, really, I suppose. And we'll get Chat's take, and I'll get your take on it in just a second. But I almost feel like not talking about Skull and Bones now is almost like the sweeping it under the rug a little bit. Like, I feel like it has now been almost too long. Like, at some point, somebody has to say, like, right, yeah, okay, that project is done with. We've moved on from it. I don't know.
I've said that before. I think it's getting retooled into something else.
Well, again, that's why I thought we would have seen something from it. Same with Rainbow Six Quarantine. I said we might get a name change, and not there.
Check out the fishing footage from Valhalla right here as well.
Yeah, you can fish.
Very Legend of Zelda.
Fishing confirmed for Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
in a
Bullhead.
nutshell, gentlemen, enjoyed it, but wanted to see more.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
So it
playing.
was good, but the overall thing was slightly disappointing by not giving us more stuff, really.
Yeah.
I feel like I had my entrees, but where's my main?
Yeah, lots of little starters that you knew about.
Yeah.
You just didn't have it. Yeah, I'd be very intrigued to know what we thought of it if we didn't know about Far Cry 6. We might have left on a bigger high thinking, oh, that looks awesome. The antagonist, it's amazing. And and however, because of that, we're now watching Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay that we should have seen at the Xbox event back then. They actually got Phil Spencer back in.
Yeah. It feels like it's got your big tentpole stuff there, but doesn't have like the filler games, the smaller stuff in between.
Yeah, like showing Just Dance or an indie title or a Rayman, even just a Rayman title, like something to, like you said, to fill that gap between these big open world third person games.
And nothing that teases for the future, really.
Not that we're not obviously Far Cry would be the tease for the future, but
it's not that far in the future. We've got a date for February next year.
Yeah, true. Well, again, if you think about it, we should have, in theory, Gods and Monsters, Skull and Bones, Beyond Good and Evil, Just Dance, and all the other ones should be technically in there for the future, but they just stayed silent on them. So it's a very interesting one. But I think that brings us to a wrap on our actual reactions to the Ubisoft Forward event. Back to you in the podcast studio, past Chris. Enjoy the rest of the show. And then I'll just... Oh, thanks for that, Pass Chris. That was great news from the Ubisoft Forward that we just watched. Back to the podcast. You're joining Chris, Tom and Richie in the past/future/present in the hyperscape, wherever we may be, live for our Ubisoft Forward reactions. Guys, we just give our quick take that happened mere moments ago for us, but for you guys listening to the podcast, it just happened right this very moment in the podcast.
Before you're asking, anyone who's watching, time hasn't changed in the real world. The environment around me hasn't suddenly adapted.
Tom's moved rooms again in between.
Again!
Yeah.
We should have actually done
screen.
that.
Everything behind me is green screen, hence the colour difference.
Tom himself is actually on a blue screen, projecting behind a green screen.
All the screens. But yes, so we've just given our reactions. We hope you enjoyed them. We kind of condensed that down to... I have no clue how long it ran for either. So sorry if it was too long, but here we are back at the end of the show, and we're heading into this week, which again, if you listen to this on the Monday, we've got our Google Stadia Connect predictions episode is this one. So that means join us tomorrow on Tuesday, or yesterday on Tuesday. Again, time is such a weird, ambiguous thing. We can just flow freely in between it. We did want to give a special shout out to our Patreons who wrote in with their own particular predictions for the show. We had Ashley over on patreon.com/forward. Forward. Oh, it's getting late, gentlemen. I'm hungover. It's getting late. I'm tired. Ashley wrote in and said she just predicts that none of us are getting pizza because we're terrible with these predictions. We've not quite got a fine art in.
Well, actually, that is currently true because our predictions were Tom's currently got 1 point and I've got 1 question mark. Because my prediction for Assassin's Creed Valhalla was day and date with PS5 and Xbox Series X. So until we get them release dates, that's still the question mark. So no pizza for Tom yet.
We'll see. Other the ones we got, Michael wrote in as well. He said he's heard that we're getting Orcs Must Die as another program on the day of the Connect. Is that true? So I believe the Orcs Must Die 3, even though they've been quite radio silent for some time, they dropped a trailer this week which had the Stadia logo at the end. Not only that, it had a pro game included, so that
play for free now.
Yeah, so that seems seems like a pretty much a shoe-in deal for yes, it's probably going to be our pro game for June. I mean
that trailer looked pretty definitive, if you ask me. Like it didn't look like some fan-made thing. That looked legit.
I mean, you'll see in the bottom corner of the screen, it's just in massive writing, play now for free with Stadia Pro.
Yeah.
Definitely. And our final one of the week, Barry wrote in saying, after playing it safe with Ubisoft predictions, which he wrote in for last week's show, he's going to go bold for the Connect. He's saying, check this out, gents, The Witcher 3 or Death Stranding for games. Now, Tom, you allude to it in our predictions earlier on with your conspiracy theories of publisher connections and developer links and ties. Of the two, Witcher 3 or Death Stranding, which one do you think is the more realistic, and which one would you prefer?
Witcher 3 is more realistic in my opinion. Whether CD Projekt Red have got the time at the moment to do that is another matter. But Death Stranding, I mean, I would love to have Kojima on board with like releasing stuff to Stadia. That would be absolutely amazing. He's an auteur when it comes to video games. Like he literally has his own way of creating things that nobody else can.
Yeah, I just don't think it's like he seems to have personal connections to Sony a bit too strong. I know it's coming like PC, but I think Sony are looking at PC and going, yeah, fine, we don't really care too much. It's just a way of getting more money for games that people have already played over here. Where Stadia is probably a bit more direct competition for them. So I can't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But thank you for everybody who wrote in. Again, patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia if you would like to write in with your questions for the show, any suggestions for topics and future content. Really do appreciate you all for checking that out and subscribing to our channel over there as well. In terms of that, gentlemen, that brings an end to our time travel journey this week. It's been a crazy one. Next week, it'll just be good to return to some actual good old news, right?
Yeah.
Without predictions or episodes or future telling, mystic balls and such. This has been episode 42 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Don't forget to join us this Tuesday or last Tuesday, whenever the date may land, for the Stadia Connect reactions, where myself and Richie will be tuning in. Tom, you're busy, we think. You've assured us you're busy, so we might get a special guest. We'll see. We'll reach out and see who's hiding in the reeds for us on that one. We might go back in time. We might pull someone out from the years gone by. But we'll have a look at that. Thank you for tuning in for that one. And this week, my name's been Chris.
I've been Tom.
I've been Richie.
We've been Sounds of Stadia. See you all soon. Take care. Goodbye.